Howdy folks, greetings. Now, my recent video I done on the recent Tommy Robinson protests in London, and I received loads of messages saying it's not an anti-asylum seeker protest, it's a pro-free speech protest. And there were a lot of people there for that reasons. I saw some interviews with some people that were there for those reasons, and to be honest, I get it. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on with free speech in this country at the moment. I mean, when like 600 of these people get arrested for basically protesting against what the UN now classify as a genocide, something's wrong, isn't it? Something's definitely wrong. The amount of police time and resources that would have gone into that. Crazy. And then you've got your things like Graham Linehan, the creator of Father Ted. By the way, whatever you think of this guy, before we go on, Father Ted, one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. It never gets held up there with the greats, does it? And I don't know why. You always hear about The Office and Peep Show and Partridge and stuff, but Father Ted never gets, one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. I don't think a year goes past where I don't think about that scene with the priests in Debenhams getting lost in the lingerie department. I mean, one of the best sitcom scenes of all time. But anyway, for some reason, this guy has just descended down a rabbit hole of anti-trans hate. Yeah, it really amazes me how people can just spend just every hour of every waking day just hating on an already downtrodden, marginalized group. But that's the rabbit hole that he's gone down, and we're all susceptible to this stuff, man. I mean, I'm sure you've all seen the program Adolescence. People go down these rabbit holes, people get these obsessions online and go down it. I'd personally like to see him put the same emphasis on the amount of men that are beating the crap out of their wives every single day. I mean, generally, how many trans people are actually sexually assaulting women in bathrooms? I'm not saying it doesn't happen, and if it happens, it's absolutely horrific, but I'm sure there's a much larger amount of men beating the crap out of their wives every single day in this country. I'd like to see Graham Linehan put the same emphasis into that, but anyway, I'm digressing. The guy got arrested for a tweet. He said on Twitter that if you're a woman and you're in a bathroom and there's a trans person there and you don't want them there, if you call the cops and they don't come, punch them in the balls. Now, a lot of people, a chunk of society, will say that's clear incitement to violence, and you can understand why they'd say that. But there's another slice of the society that says it's a joke. When it comes to online, there's always this grey area, isn't there? Lucy Connolly is the other one that obviously got arrested and sent to prison for sending out a tweet encouraging people to burn down hotels with asylum seekers, and then people went out and burnt hotels with asylum seekers in. Now, personally for me, I don't know why, I mean, it's going off topic slightly, but I don't know why it always descends to prison. Why do people always get sent to prison? I would have much rather have seen like swift action, like arrested straight down the courts and given community service. I would have liked to have seen her gone down with a broom, brushing up all the mess that all those thugs created from her tweets. But it's always prison, isn't it? In an already overcrowded prison where we're letting criminals out early, sending them to prison. I don't think that was the right thing to do. And now everyone hates Keir Starmer because of it, because he's sending people to prison for tweets, even though he's not the courts and not there. Anyway, I digress. But it's this online grey area. There's always a grey area when it comes to free speech. I think both of those situations, if Graham Linehan and Lucy Connolly were standing on a street corner, on a soapbox, speaking to a crowd of people, saying, go and punch trans people in the balls, or go and burn down hotels with asylum seekers on, and then they went and done it, it'd be very more clear cut, wouldn't it? It'd be very more clear, yeah, they're inciting a mob to violence. But when it goes online, there's always this grey area, and I think we generally have to have some serious adult conversations about free speech online. Are people just free to spread lies? Should we be free to spread pure lies and pure hatred online? We need to be able to protect our kids. I talked about the show Adolescence earlier. You know, if you've seen that show focuses on the online misogyny world and the Andrew Tate world. But you can take that and switch it for anything. That show you could have been going down a rabbit hole of far right extremism, of anti-trans hatred, of anti-climate change or extreme Islam, you know, take your pick. You know, should we start having conversations about free speech online and the freedom to just express lies and conspiracy theories when so many people are descending into rabbit holes of just destruction for their own lives? I always said about the man that got arrested at the asylum seeker hotel riots and ended up in prison, then sadly ended up killing himself. The saddest thing about that story is that he wasn't at home with his family. He wasn't at home chasing a hobby of toy train sets or something, or whatever older people do for hobbies. You know, that's what he should have been doing. But instead, this online world that we live in, he descended into a far-right extreme Twitter feed of absolute rubbish. We need to start having grown-up conversations about this. Freedom of speech on the online space is completely different. Then that brings us on to the supposed free speech champions from the protest at the weekend. And my biggest question is really, you know, whatever you think about this with freedom of speech, are these guys really the ones championing free speech? Farage, who bans reporters from Reform Party conferences, he bans reporters from reporting on his Reform local council. He wants to ban protests because he doesn't like the specific day that they're doing it as regards to the people protesting about Gaza. Is he your free speech advocate, really? Your free speech champion? Elon Musk, constantly interfering with other countries' elections. Again, wherever you sit on the political spectrum, I mean, surely you can see that this guy is just a power crazy maniac who craves power. The guy has an enormous amount of power already, but he wants more. And these pesky democracies are getting in his way with their stupid laws. Is he really your free speech advocate? And then you got Tommy Robinson, a man that has advocated for banning the burqa. Is that freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of speech? Someone that I think would quite happily ban Islam completely from this country. Is he a free speech champion? And this is the question I think that we're all really battling with. It's easy for everyone to be for free speech with people they agree with. It's a lot harder to be for free speech with people that you don't agree with. Now, Tommy Robinson is an interesting guy, man, because, I mean, his rabbit hole, we've talked a lot about rabbit holes that people are descending into. His is Islam. I don't think he's necessarily racist in the normal term of just hating anyone that's not white, but he's just got a pure hatred of Islam. And he's a product of his environment. We're all products of our environments. He grew up in Luton, that was renowned for a hotbed of extreme Islam. It's where the majority of the 7/7 bombers come from. And he descended into a deep dive into extreme Islam. Not Islam as a whole, but a deep dive into extreme Islam. And no one's going to deny that there's some awful stuff here. Rotherham grooming gangs, the mosques that are promoting extreme Islam. This stuff exists. But this is what happens with these rabbit holes that people dive into. You just dig up the dirt. You dig up the worst in that society and constantly keep searching for that. Completely ignoring the mosques that are going out and feeding the homeless. Completely ignoring the average Muslims around the country that are just going about their business, trying to feed their kids, ignoring that stuff and just digging up the dirt and getting more and more obsessed with it. And I'm going to finish this video on a quote from the very man himself, Tommy Robinson, from one of his protests. He was talking about the violence that came from some of his protests. And he said, we shouldn't let the actions of a few thugs tarnish the whole group. And you know what, Tommy? It would be great if you applied that same logic to Muslims and just everyone. Everyone. You can't tarnish the actions of a few awful people to a whole section of society. Now, if you enjoyed the video, folks, please, I'd really appreciate it if you can give this video a like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm really trying to push these videos out to a wider audience as possible. So if you like the video, you agree with what I'm saying, please give us a like and all that good stuff. Till next time, take care.